Hey guys, and welcome back to an episode of Off the Shelf. I'm your host, Ronan Time HD, and this week, what we found off the shelf was...
I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 6 shots or only 5? You've got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
You tried to kill me!
Dirty Harry, released in 1971. It was directed by Don Siegel. I believe that's how you say his name. Starring Clint Eastwood, as you can clearly see here, and Andy Robinson. It is a action cop thriller. It is also the first of a 5-film series, which obviously star the titular Dirty Harry, which is played by Clint Eastwood. When I'd heard of Dirty Harry, right? I had heard of this film, but I had never seen it up until now. And I think, I don't know why I never knew, but this film was quite groundbreaking, especially for, like, cop action movies. And I'm certain you've seen a plethora of action cop movies in your time, right? They've always existed, and they've been around for a long time, and it's a genre that will continue to be popular in the future. And for obvious reasons. It's pretty easy to make at least a semi-enjoyable cop action thriller. Because, I mean, you got a bunch of evil bad guys, like just super irredeemable evil scumbags that you want to see, you know, the main character bring to justice, which usually means shooting the shit out of them, right? But, I mean, it's a movie. You don't really need to question it. It's just a movie. But I think this film was the first of its kind. So now, obviously, when you watch a modern cop, like, action movie, you're used to the main character just, like, mowing down criminals like it's nothing, right? Just, like, mowing them down, not even considering for a second to, like, be an actual cop and not shoot first. But that's just, like, action movie 101, right? The hero is not there to think. Their gun is there to think for them. Right? Like, that's obviously just the par of the course in an action movie. But, for 1971, it was a little risque to have a movie where a cop isn't like a cookie-cutter cop, and he's kind of a bit of a renegade, he's a bit of a rebel, right? He's not reading his, like, the suspect his rights. He's, like, torturing him, basically, to get information out of him. He's raiding his abode without a warrant, right? He literally just kicks down the door to look for him. And obviously, nowadays, that's part of the course for action movies, right? But back then, it was a little taboo, right? And it sparked a lot of discourse back then. Of course, there are people who said the film was very well made, but they said that it was very right-wing. It was very, like, conservative fantasy, right? It was they called it a bit of fascist. They had it, like, fascist beliefs. Because, again, he was breaking the rules of democracy, right? Because, I mean, you know, people might say we have these rules in place for a reason. But then again, when you think about it, it's just an action movie. Like, who cares, right? It's not that big of a deal. Back then, it was a big deal because movies didn't really do that. Right now, obviously, we're so used to action heroes just throwing away human life like it doesn't even matter, right? They just, like, kill so many people with so little regard for anything, right? But again, it's just an action movie. Nowadays, it's not that bad because we're so accustomed to every action movie being like this. But I think it's just kind of fascinating to see how different generations react to the same stimuli, right? Like now, like say, like the same age of people who were up in arms about this movie in the 70s, and you watch, like, basically any cop movie that's coming out these days, they're gonna have completely different reactions because of the environment that they were brought up in around that same time. and what's normal and what's not for different generations. I think that's kind of fascinating, right? To me, it's a little fascinating, at least. And I'm not saying that the people of today or the people of then are stupid. Obviously, as I said, they were raised in different environments with different philosophies, and that doesn't mean necessarily that either was right or wrong. It's just fascinating to me how they react differently to the same stuff. But how about we get on this movie? I've kind of talked about the historical significance and its place in history and film history and how people reacted. But how was the film itself? I think it was fairly enjoyable, right? Just seeing Clint Eastwood be like a badass, like vigilante cop, basically just, killing bad guys, right? That's essentially what this movie's about. A vigilante cop, Clint Eastwood, killing bad guys. That's essentially what the movie's about. He stops a bank robbery single-handedly, right? Going pew, 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 shooting people, and then they crash into a fucking fire hydrant, and it's chaos, right? And then he says the line, he's like, well, you might just have one question for yourself. Am I feeling lucky? Well, are you, punk? Like, that line. The line, of course, he says the line more than once. He says it to one of those surviving bank robbers, or the surviving bank robber, and he bluffs, right? Because he makes it seem like he has a bullet in his gun. So the guy, he could have reached for his gun to shoot Clint Eastwood, but he doesn't because he believes his bluff. And then Clint Eastwood, he looks like he's going to walk away, then he turns around and he pulls the trigger, and there's no bullet in there. So he bluffed and he lied just to get him to not try anything. But then at the end of the movie, when he's fighting the evil, kidnapping, racist, rapist, right? The evil, psycho dude. He bluffs and he makes it kind of sound like he doesn't have a bullet in there to entice him to grab his gun. So technically it's self-defense, right? Since he pulls the gun on him and then he shoots him in the heart and then he dies and he falls into the ravine. And justice is served, right? Because, really, that guy was terrible. But also I feel like, there's a bit of suspension of disbelief to be had there, because obviously this film's like a dumb, fun action movie, so you're not really supposed to think about it that much. But sometimes I did. So, the cops in the movie that weren't Harry just did not make a lot of sense to me. Like, this guy, right, in the movie, obviously he's kind of, acting outside of his department, right? He's kind of, doing his own thing, trying to take this guy down because he kidnapped, a 14-year-old girl and is holding her for ransom, and he won't tell them where she is unless, they give him money, like a ransom. But eventually, shit goes awry, and eventually he tracks him down to this stadium where he's staying in the groundskeeper's, area. He's, living there. And he tracks him down, and he chases him throughout the stadium, and then he shoots him in the leg. Right? Well, he stabbed him in the leg, but then he shoots him in the leg, I think. And then he steps on his leg. He's like, where's the girl? Where's she? Right? He's, basically, interrogating him, torturing him, which, again, can't do that. In real life, you couldn't do that. So, of course, they can't press those charges on him for the girl, because he, murdered and raped this teenager, which is terrible. But they can't push those charges on him because he didn't lawfully investigate him, whatever. But then they're like, oh, we have to let him go. Well, one, the dude was fucking crazy, and they couldn't just let him go, and also they could press stuff on him because he attacked Harry. He attacked Harry before any of that happened. So, when he was trying to get him the money for the ransom, it was the deal was he was going to give him the money and he would give him the girl and then he would go on his day. But he didn't. He didn't have the girl, for one. And he gave him the money, but then he just kicked the shit out of him, right? He attacked a police officer and was going to kill him if his partner hadn't come in to save him. And he almost killed another police officer. He didn't kill either of them, but he almost did. So they could have put charges on him for that, because they didn't entrap him, right, or anything. They put their end of the bargain, and he didn't put his end of the bargain, right? So they easily could have put something on him for that, but I guess not. And then the cops were just so incompetent this whole movie. Like, Harry was the only one who was actually getting shit done with this guy. Because they're like, oh, he has a bus full of children. Like, at the end, he fucking has a bus full of children, holding them for ransom because this guy's a fucking maniac, right? But here's the thing, right? So they're like, oh, we don't want to risk it. He's got a bus full of children. We can't have cops go after him because then that'll put the children at risk, right? We can't have them, like, go on a chase because then they'll kill them, right? But then Harry's like, well, fuck this. And he just goes out on his own and chases the fucking... He manages to track down the street that he's going on. And he stands over the road on this, like, beam. And it looks really funny because he's just, like standing there all badass. And then he jumps on the bus, right? And the crazy dude, Scorpio, he crashes the bus into, like a factory, right? By, like, next to a factory. And then he just immediately gets out of the bus and runs away. And it's just like, well, if it was that easy to get him away from the children out of the bus, then why didn't just the cops do it? Like, set up a spike trap, and then as soon as he gets out of the bus, just fill him with lead. Like, what's the problem? Like, I guess suspension of disbelief, but it was just kind of hard to suspend my disbelief when the cops that aren't named Harry in the movie are this incompetent. But whatever, I guess it's water under the bridge. Either way, those are just a couple nitpicks. Overall, I did think, as an overall package, it was an enjoyable film. And I think if you're a fan of action movies, if you're a fan of Clint Eastwood, if you're a fan of cop action movies, I think there is a lot of fun to be had here. And I think there is a lot of enjoyment to be had, with that Clint Eastwood cop action. And with that being said, I think I would rate this film a 7.5 out of 10. And, yeah, think of something to say, think of something peace. So guys, I hope you like this video. If you're a friend, subscribe, turn the notifications on, comment down below how much you liked it. And I've been on Time HD. Off to serve justice. He didn't have two guns, he only had one. But I can still do that anyway. I make my own rules. I serve justice. Yeah, I am the justice server, ain't I? Yeah, look at me, guys. I serve justice. So, guys, there were, at the 44th Academy Awards, which I assume Dirty Harry was getting nominated for something, there were feminists outside protesting it, and with banners that said, Dirty Harry's a filthy pig. And I'm like, how is he a filthy pig? Like, he wasn't using his power, like, to abuse innocent people. He was using it to kill bad people. So, that just doesn't really make sense to me. Because usually, like, how is he a filthy pig? Like, maybe I'm just ignorant, but maybe use it in the comments. Why is Dirty Harry a filthy pig in this movie? If he's using his power to kill bad people, wouldn't that be good? I mean, I'm not saying I'm pro-vigilante, but I think that's better than him using his power to abuse innocent people, right? Because it's like, I have no love lost for the people he kills in this movie, so, like, I'm just saying. Like, killing rapists and weirdos, like, who's gonna miss these people? Like, I'm just saying, you didn't hear it from me. I am the justice. I don't know.